270. Excerpt from my journal. Today was Mother's Day, and it was a great one. I got spoiled with homemade cards, gifts, and kisses and hugs from my kids. I love these monkeys so much. I'm so grateful that my Heavenly Father is allowing me to stay here on earth for a while longer, to work hard and be here to help my children grow and learn. I love being a mom. And one thing that this cancer has given me is a realization of how much I love being a mom and how important it is for me to make sure that my kids are a priority in my life. I need to love them, be patient with them, spend time with them, and help them. As hard as this cancer journey has been, it has brought so many good things into my life. It has made me more aware of how I spend my time, how I treat the people around me, what I am doing to strengthen my testimony, and how I am inviting the Spirit into our lives. I've often said that I hate this cancer, but for these reasons, and probably a few more, I love that I have this journey in my life. End of quote. Chapter 32, Getting Zapped. In the middle of the craziness that the month of May brought into our lives, it also brought the completion of my second round of tissue expander expansion. I had finally reached the point where everything seemed to be where it needed to be. I was not lopsided, there was no more infection lurking about, and my plastic surgeon had given me the thumbs up to start radiation. Hooray! After the agonizing 2-month delay, my radiation oncologist, Dr. Avazonis, and I agreed that it was time to get the party started. Step number 1 in the radiation process involved making a map of my chest and getting some tattoos. That process, like so many others, was a new experience for me. I've never gotten a tattoo before, nor have I ever had a map made of my chest. I can say that I am 100% positive that I hope to not have to experience either of those things again. I quietly tolerated the tiny pinpricks that pierced my skin, leaving me with 6 itty-bitty blue dots. Those little blue dots would allow the radiation technicians to line up the linear accelerator, aka the bug zapping machine, in the exact same spot each time I had treatment. I ended up with 3 dots down the center of my chest, 1 on each side of my rib cage, and 1 where I had the lumpectomy. With my new tattoos, I was ready to begin the mapping process. It began with some x-rays of my chest. Those x-rays would provide Dr. Avazonis with a clear picture of where the radiation zaps should be directed, thus allowing her to create my personal chest map. I know that radiation zap is not the official medical term, but I like it. It has a nice ring to it, so I'm going to go with it. Now that I had received my blue baby dots and had more pictures taken of my chest, I was ready to begin radiation. Just kidding, that would have been a little too easy. I would have to go home and wait a few days so that Dr. Avazonis could complete the final map. While I waited, I thought about some of the things that other breast cancer patients had told me about the radiation process. All of them had said that radiation was a piece of cake compared to everything else I had been through. Good. I liked cake, and I was ready for a piece of it. When the day of my appointment arrived, I checked in at the front desk where a kind nurse showed me what my job would be for the next 5 weeks. Check in on the computer, change into a gown, and wait for my turn in the bug zapper. That process of changing and waiting would by far be the longest part of my daily radiation appointments. Once I was in my gown, I flipped through a magazine and tried to keep my mind clear from any nervousness. I practiced some deep breathing exercises until I heard them call out my name. I let out one last big breath and followed the technician down a hallway and into the vault. It was go time. As I stepped into the vault, which was just a large room with a giant machine in it, I felt as though I had entered one of the rooms in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, the one where Mike TV gets transported into a television set. Everything was white and crisp. The technicians were bustling about, getting everything ready, just like little Oompa Loompas. I chuckled at the thought and wondered if, hope really, that I might get some chocolate out of the ordeal. One of the technicians instructed me to hop up onto a large metal slab. Although it was covered with sheets, the coldness of the metal seeped through my thin robe, and I knew that I was in for some shivering. The table I was now lying on was situated directly under the large machine, which looked like a CAT scan machine. It was so large, in fact, it seemed to fill up half the space in the room. The part of the machine that I was most interested in was the arm that would move around me and deliver those precious little zaps of radiation. I tried to communicate with it, pleading with it to be kind to my tender skin while it fried my insides. Now that I was situated on the table, it was time for the fun to begin. First things first, exposing myself to strangers again. Unfortunately, I have lost count of how many people have seen the girls. The technicians were kind about it though, and they did their best to keep me as covered as possible. Still, we had a few laughs about the situation. Laughter had been and continued to be the only way to take away the awkwardness of certain situations, such as having strangers poke, prod, and stare at your chest. Once the table was situated in the right place and the machine was lined up correctly with all my itty-bitty blue dots, the technician stepped out of the room. My heart pounded wildly in my chest as I heard the massive 2-foot-thick door slide shut, and suddenly I was completely alone, with my chest exposed. The air conditioning kicked in, and I focused my concentration on willing my body not to shiver. The technicians had gone into the room next to my vault room. They could see me on a monitor. They could also hear me and talk to me, so I wasn't truly all alone. However, I'm not sure if that made things better or worse in my mind. It all felt too much like a weird science fiction film. Quote from my journal. This session was a little longer than it would normally be because they had to take x-rays first to make sure they aren't radiating anything they don't want to. For example, my lungs and heart. I had to lie completely still for half an hour with my arms over my head and my head turned to the left side. I was okay for the first 15 minutes. Then my arms started falling asleep, my neck started cramping, and my eyes started to twitch. I survived though. During the radiation process, the technicians moved the table I'm lying on. It moves up and down until my tattoos line up with the right spots on the machine. They also have to tape my left breast out of the way so that it doesn't get radiated. Have you ever had your boob taped down before? Interesting experience for all involved. There is a big round arm on the machine that moves around me and delivers the radiation zaps. In between each stage, the technicians have to do what is called a table kick, where they move the table around a bit to get me in the right position. The whole radiation procedure is really pretty fast. I was done in 15 minutes. Despite the sleepy arms, the neck cramp, and the itchy eye, I survived the first radiation treatment. It was over before I could even think too much about something going wrong. Once they opened the vault door and untaped my boob, I jumped off the table and walked quickly to the dressing rooms. This was going to be a piece of cake. I went home feeling like I could truly breathe a sigh of relief. I knew that I would be able to handle the radiation, and handle it I did, over and over again, 25 times to be exact. My life quickly became all about a routine. Drive to the hospital, disrobe, put on a gown, lie down on cold metal slab, get zapped with the bug zapper, take gown off, put clothes back on, drive home, return tomorrow, and repeat the process all over again. It almost felt too easy. I kept expecting something to go wrong. I suppose I was a little shell-shocked because of the surprise surgeries and never-ending drain situation. It took me a few weeks to accept that the radiation process could actually stick to the plan and not throw me any curveballs. Quote from my journal. Day 306. Today is about the halfway mark for radiation. I am still feeling really good for the most part. My skin is only slightly red. I am experiencing a little more tenderness, especially along my rib cage, but so far no lymphedema or any major problems. Sometimes I even catch myself not thinking about cancer. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's bright. Day 312. I feel so blessed today. I can't believe how well and fast this radiation process is going. I only have 8 treatments left, and I still have not noticed much redness or change in my skin. I guess it is getting a little more tender to the touch, but to look at it, I don't notice much change at all. I wear my compression sleeve as much as I can stand it to prevent my lymphedema from coming back. I like to think that Heavenly Father is blessing me with something easy for a moment. I know I can do hard things, and I don't mind the challenge. I know there are those times when I know that those are the times when I learn and grow the most. But it is nice to have this tiny break where things are going smoothly. I hope the reconstruction surgery will not be too bad. It's really hard to believe that I'm coming up on the year mark of my diagnosis. I remember it like it was yesterday, finding the lump. It's been a long year since then, but a good year nonetheless. I'm still here, and I plan on being here for a long time. I feel so blessed to be counted among those who have battled cancer and survived. I hope I will always remember how blessed I am.